All right, so friends, let's get settled in. As we like to say on Friday, when we gather for our practice, this is an opportunity for us to sit together into Shabbat. And I know that I always really, especially appreciate this opportunity just to take some time on Fridays to really shift gears, shift modes. There are appliances that have Shabbat mode, and we come equipped with Shabbat mode as well. What does it mean to shift into Shabbat mode? We have a mode that we call the Sheshet Yemei Hamasa, the mode of the 6 days of work, in which we are critically thinking people who are constantly searching for ways to do better ourselves, to improve the world, to fix things, notice problems to be solved and work at it, make things happen. And then we have a Shabbat mode, which is might feel quite foreign to many of us, which is the mode in which essentially it's all good. We can just be with things as they are. We can let go of that impulse to fix, to correct, to improve. And we will come back to that because our proportion is a 6-to-1 proportion. 6 days a week, we're in that mode. One day a week, or 1/7 of our time, we devote to letting that go and simply being with things as they are. And as I'll explain in a moment, it's especially apropos this week in terms of our Torah portion. Let's just begin by settling in to our bodies and checking in with how we're doing today. So um, I'm going to invite everyone to resist any impulse to multitask, which I am always guilty of when I'm on Zoom, and see if we can just be present for each other and for ourselves for a moment. So bring your hands to rest in your lap or on your thighs. Let's find a position for a meditation practice today that feels comfortable for us and really come into our bodies. It's possible to rest the soles of your feet on the floor. That's a way to go. And the basic instruction for finding a position is to find a posture of kavod, of that honors yourself, that represents a posture that honors your inherent worth and dignity as a human being. Just take your seat, take your place, and fully occupy it. And receive a few deep breaths, filling the lungs, filling the belly. If there's any self-consciousness about that, just note those, let them go, and releasing after each breath. And we can let that be audible. Ah, we're holding so much these days, holding so much. Let's just begin by letting ourselves release some of that, letting the body settle, letting the mind settle, imagining ourselves as that shaken up snow globe, really shaken up by the end of the week, and just setting it down and watching the snow settle to the bottom. You're just taking a couple of minutes right here. See if you can discern your capacity to shift into a Shabbat mode, a mode of receptivity, a mode of surrender, of letting go, of releasing. Today is day 40 of the Omer, the day of Hod Shebiyesod, Ode as gratitude, as release, surrender, acceptance of things as they are. And you sowed foundation, support, channel, connection. So we'll use our capacity for Hod to let go, to settle into the foundation of the body, feel the foundation of this planet beneath you, supporting you, and trusting that it can hold us. And breathe for a couple of minutes. And wish yourself Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Our practice is sometimes described as a practice of chesed ve'emet, loving kindness and emet. We're cultivating kindness towards ourselves, often our worst enemies, and bringing some softness and kindness to that inner critic or the voice that is maybe sometimes too critical of others. See if we can turn up the voice of chesed, of kindness. And we are practicing emet, truth, to see what's really happening without any pretense, being our most authentic self, our most honest self, our most truthful self. We bring that practice of emet to the body. It's true about your body today. And infusing that with chesed also, accepting our bodies as they are, whatever their condition today, and loving them as they are. And we bring chesed and emet to our emotional life and see if we can notice what's true about how we're really feeling today. You can identify your emotions right now and understand each feeling as a teacher, as a little piece of Torah trying to express itself, and holding that too with chesed and loving kindness. All the feelings are welcome. All of them serve a purpose. And we focus on the truth of our state of mind today. Some of us might be quite agitated. Some of us might be a little bit more settled or foggy, hard to tell. How would you answer? What is your state of mind today? What's the state of your mind right now? And can you investigate the truth with chesed, with compassion, without being critical? So we're being mindful of our bodies, of our emotions, of our state of mind. And we move also into the dimension of our neshama, of our spirit. Hebrew word that's closely related to nishima, to breath. So if you're wondering about the state of your neshama today, how's your soul? Might begin just by attending to the breath as a reminder of your connection to something sacred that is deeper than ourselves and beyond ourselves. Is beyond naming. How's your soul today? What's the state of your spirit today? Can you remember that it is Tahora, that it's pure? If your eyes are closed, you can keep them closed. If your eyes are open, recommend that you let them have a soft focus or focus on some point in the room where you're sitting, bringing awareness inward. To share a little bit as we're sitting from this week's double Torah portion, Bahar Bechukotai, which concludes the book of Leviticus. We finish a book of Torah this Shabbat. And especially in Parshat Bahar, we have two mitzvot, two teachings, two practices, central Jewish practices. One is that of Shemitah, the sabbatical year, the injunction to let the land rest every 7 years. 6 years shall you sow your field, and 6 years shall you prune your vineyard and gather in its produce. Ubashana shvi'it Shabbat Shabbaton yeh la'aretz. Shabbat l'Adonai. In the 7th year shall be a Shabbat Shabbaton, same term that's used for Yom Kippur. The land shall have a complete Shabbat, complete rest. It's a Shabbat for Yud He Vav He. This is built into the rhythm of the universe, the pause, the Shabbat. The land must rest. We must rest. We must let go. So when we read Parshat Bahar, we're reminded of this Shemitah cycle of 7 years. And then it goes further to describe 7 cycles of those sabbatical cycles. 49 years, just as we're immersed in the counting of 49 days of the Omer. There are 49 years of the Yovel cycle. The 50th year is the Jubilee year, a year in which all who have had to sell their land because of financial distress get to return home, get to come back home, and everything starts all over again. You have one of the most powerful lines in all of Torah from this law of the Jubilee, where God says to Moses, "V'ha'aretz lo timacher litzmitut." The land shall not be sold in perpetuity. You can't sell land forever. Ki li haaretz, because the earth is mine, says God. Ki gerim v'toshavim atem imadi. You are strangers and residents, imadi, with me on this planet. We're all just passing through. We don't own it. We don't really own anything. Such a radical idea and essence of Shabbat to remember that we don't own anything. To the extent that that is a frightening thought, we remember that this is meant to be a Shabbat for Adonai. Rabbi Milton Steinberg, who was the rabbi of the Park Avenue Synagogue for many years, wrote a very famous sermon after having had a near fatal heart attack about the necessity to hold life strongly and firmly, but with open arms, with open hands. The paradox of immersing in this world, embracing life, and at the same time remembering the need to let go, to surrender, which is the essence of Shabbat practice. He wrote, "It is easier to let things go because we know that as parts of the divine economy, they will not be lost. We know that as parts of the divine economy, nothing is lost. Sunset, the bird's song, the baby's smile, the thunder of music, the surge of great poetry, the dreams of the heart, and our own being, precious to each of us. All of these we can well trust to God who made them. All these we can well trust to God who made them. There is poignancy and regret about giving them up, but no anxiety. No anxiety. When they slip from our hands, they will pass to hands better, stronger, and wiser than ours." So we'll sit for another 7 minutes in silence. And wherever your hands are resting, I want to invite you to let them open. And if you can, maybe let them just rest on your thighs facing up in a posture of both receiving and letting go. Receiving and letting go. As we inhale, imagine receiving the blessings of this rest and this Shabbat, which we need for the long haul. And as we exhale, we can experience that as surrender, as a reminder that we are part of the divine economy, as Steinberg put it. Letting go does not mean necessarily loss. It means recognizing that we are part of something much deeper, infinitely deeper than ourselves, infinitely beyond ourselves. So let's sit together, receiving and surrendering in Shabbat. Coming to the last few minutes of our practice together of receiving and surrendering, hands open, inhaling blessing, exhaling, letting the blessing go, experiencing ourselves as part of a cycle of receiving and extending blessing. And in this, we're really practicing Yesod, being a channel, being a vessel, a conduit for blessing, letting divine blessings flow through us with no effort on our part. It's making space for the blessings to pass through. Let's receive 3 more deep breaths as we began with really letting the lungs fill, let the belly expand with each breath, and letting the body release the tensions of the week. And if your eyes have been closed, letting them begin to open, no rush, take your time. Rubbing the hands together. And invite everyone to extend your hands towards the group. Offer, reflect some of those blessings out to their group together. May the Shabbat offer us the restoration, the opportunity to breathe, and the opportunity to remember that it's not all about us, that we are Gerim V'Toshavim, we are all strangers. We're all just visiting here, and to remember what a blessing it is to be a visitor and to be a conduit for the divine in our lives. And I want to invite all of us to stay present to end our practice with the Mourner's Kaddish. We end it each day with Mourner's Kaddish, which is really part of the practice. So whether you're reciting Kaddish or not, I want to invite you to stay present and offer your support for those who are in mourning. We're invited to put the name or names of anyone you're honoring today in the chat now or after you recite Kaddish. There are people who are in Shiva right now, those who are observing yard sites or Shloshim, those for whom it's the custom to join in Mourner's Kaddish. You're welcome to do so. And as I mentioned, you can put the name or names of anyone you'd like to mention in the chat now or after recite Kaddish. Thanks to Harry for sharing the words on the screen. And if you're joining me, please rise in body and spirit. You can unmute at this time. Yid Gadal, Yid Kadash, Rabbi.
Amen.
Hayechon, Yom Yeh B'chol Beit Yisrael, Hagala, Shmei Rabba Mevarach,
Shalom Olamay,
Hadar V'Yaseh, Amen. Friends, thanks so much for joining us today. What a beautiful opportunity for us to gather and have a little taste of Shabbat to lead into Shabbat together. If you're leaving now, I'm going to put in the chat our lineup of teachers for next week. I didn't mention at the beginning, but we will not be meeting live on Monday in observance of American Memorial Day. IGS will be closed on Monday, but we have a beautiful lineup of teachers Tuesday through Friday. Beginning Tuesday with Sarah Waxman from At the Well, who will lead us for Rosh Chodesh Sivan. Wednesday, Rabbi Shir Meir Afait will lead us. On Thursday, Kenner Julie Newman. And a week from today, Rabbi Mira Niculescu will lead us. So 4 wonderful teachers for our sessions next week. And we hope you'll join us for any or all of those. Thanks to Harry for holding our space today, and all of you for being here. Really a wonderful, wonderful gathering today. And I'm happy to stay on to respond to any questions in the chat. And I'm happy also to share, there was a source sheet, which Harry can put the link to in the chat, which has the verses that I referenced from this week's Torah portion about the Shemitah, the sabbatical year, and about the Jubilee year. And it has the quote from Rabbi Milton Steinberg, which maybe I'll share later as well. Okay, Mir is asking, I wonder if along with the process of receiving and surrendering, there's also room for giving with intentionality. That's really interesting, Mir. You know, I think it's a great question. And I guess it kind of occurred to me also as we were sitting together, there was a little bit of a mashup of practices from this week. Rebecca Schissler was inviting us this week to focus on receiving blessing and noticing anything that was obstructing that from receiving. And with the Shemitah and Yovel, the sabbatical year, and the Yovel, the Jubilee year theme from this week's Torah portion, I wanted to focus on that letting go, surrendering. But actually, it was also really thinking about that Yesod. I guess the mashup really is from Yesod, our Sphira of this week, which goes through Sunday till sundown on Sunday, and then we go into the last week of the Omer, Sunday night, the week of Malchut. Yesod, which I really think about as this channel that channels all the previous qualities of the Omer so far, and it just for me is the perfect image of what our spiritual charge is as Jews, to take our unique beings and understand that we each in our own completely distinctive way can be a channel for the divine in the world that no one else can be, but we all have the same charge. That's basically what we're meant to do. We're meant to take our unique makeup and allow that to be the channel through which divine can flow, and give of that. So the question is really like the giving part. It's an interesting question. I welcome people's reflection in the chat on this. Sometimes when I think about giving, I think I'm giving in it, and it puts it lends itself to a little bit of a focus on the self. And I think what the Yovel, the Jubilee, and the Shemitah year are really kind of clobbering us over the head with this idea that is to always remember that whatever it is that we are giving, it is coming through us, that we are trustees, that we are conduits, channels for that. So the blessings we receive are the blessings that flow out of us. And the meaning for us is in being the conduit for it, not It's interesting because it's a very nuanced distinction between receiving something and then bestowing it, I think, in which in the middle we're kind of holding it for a second and then passing it on. Whereas this is more of a flow of it's just coming through us. Aspirational for sure. Um, Meditation is spiritual Ozempic. I have to ponder that. Just looking through to see if any other questions here. Thanks. Or mirrors. Pauline, each day of the week we've been considering different sphira in combination. Why is there no sphira for Shabbat, the last being Malchut, actualizing the others rather than Shabbat? Make sure I understand that question right. Because tomorrow is Malchut, should be Yesod. Wait a minute. No. Tomorrow is Yesod should be Yesod, and Sunday is Malchut should be Yesod. So there is a Malchut day. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not understanding your question right, Pauline. Um, as always, thanks for these beautiful reflections in the chat. All right, Pauline, if I can understand your question a little bit better, let me know. Meanwhile, I do want to two things. One is I'll share my screen for a second just to share the quote from Milton Steinberg, which remains one of my favorites. Um, Milton Steinberg, some of you may know as the author of a famous novel called As a Driven Leaf. But this was, as I said, from a sermon he gave to hold the world with open arms. And I think it's a very apt quote to go with the sabbatical year and the Jubilee year. And it has to do with loss, the poignancy of loss, of what it feels like loss. What I remember him writing is that these words came to him after he had that kind of near-death experience where he had a kind of a rush of connection with the divine, I think, like a positive sense, not a sense of not grief, where the grief at the prospect of dying or losing what he had was transformed into this moment of deep gratitude and this insight that all the blessings that we have that he lists here, sunset, bird song, etc., the gift of our own life, um, come from a source deeper and greater than us, and they go back to that. And that there might be poignancy and regret about giving them up, about surrendering them, but there's no anxiety. When they slip from our hands, they will pass to hands better, stronger, and wiser than ours. I don't know how you respond to that. I find that very comforting, even though it's not always easy to feel that way. But I really like to think about Shabbat, whether it's a full day or just a short time of being able to have a moment of tapping into that, of remembering that and seeing whether it's something that resonates with, on some level, something that we know. Rachel's asking, where does forgiveness belong in the explorations for today? I think for me, I welcome people to respond to Rachel's question, which is a really good one. I'll share that I think what I try to practice when I light my Shabbat candles is to be aware of those grudges, resentments towards others that I'm holding on to at the end of the week, whether they be petty little annoyances or bigger ones, or resentments or regrets I have towards myself and try to have a moment of letting them go. So for me, that's part of this same practice um, of releasing that, which I think is also a moment of healing and connection, a Yesod practice indeed. And welcome other people sharing that as well. All right, I want to end with this, since we have still a lovely group, a little bit of making Shabbat together. So I want to invite you to imagine holding your own Kiddush cup for this Shabbat, holding it in your left hand, which is the hand that's associated with the Gevurah, with boundaries, with strength, with judgment. And then hold your cup with your right hand, which is the hand of Chesed, and imagine that you've got your Kiddush cup right there. And imagine filling that cup, which is using Gevurah to support your Chesed, using your strength and your judgment and your critical thinking and capacities in service of love and kindness. And you can take a moment, whether it's now or later today or in the afternoon, just to continue to notice the blessings that you have received, whether it's this week or in your life. And as you imagine that, to just imagine the cup filling to the brim. The tradition for Kiddush on Friday night is to fill the cup to the brim or overflowing. Kosi Rivaya, my cup runneth over. Um, and to touch into that, to feel full, to feel sated, to feel a sense of Dayenu, of enoughness, that you are enough, that we have enough, that life is enough as it is, even though we know in so many ways it isn't. There's so much change that needs to happen, but we need to be able to tap into the sense of gratitude to be able to get back when Shabbat is over and apply the wisdom that we gain and the restoration that we gain and love that we gain on Shabbat into the week ahead. So I want to thank Harry for holding our space together with his Gevurah, and thank all of you for filling our space with so much chesed. I'm always very moved, especially by the chesed that you show each other in the chat. I'm not always able to follow all the details, but there are losses, there's illness, there are surgeries, there's a lot of pain that sometimes is shared in the chat, and so moved always by the loving kindness, the chesed that this group shows towards each other. So thanks for filling that cup for me and for so many others. And with that, I want to wish everyone a sweet and restorative Shabbat. For those of you having a long weekend, may it be restful. We need it. We're in the midst of a marathon, as we know, not a sprint. And we'll see everyone back here on Tuesday to mark the new month of Sivan with Sarah Waxman from At the Well. So Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Be safe and well, and we'll see you soon.